Welcome back to Terror and Urban Myths. Before we get started, thanks to everyone for listening in and for sticking with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps others find the show. So today, we're going into some seriously creepy territory. The story of the forest clown. So picture this. You're out for a run enjoying the fresh air. And then suddenly, you see a clown lurking in the woods next to an old car holding a bunch of balloons.
Yeah.
Creepy, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely creepy.
But then, what if, months later, you're watching Terrifier 3 and you realize the clown you saw was wearing the exact same costume as the killer in the film?
Wow. What are the odds of that? It really makes you think, was it just someone reusing a costume, or is there something more going on here? I mean, the story really plays with our fears, you know? We're naturally wary of things that seem out of place. And a clown in the woods, that's definitely out of place.
Right.
But the connection to Terrifier 3, that adds a whole other level of creepy.
It's like the line between fiction and reality. It just gets blurred. Makes you wonder, was this just some harmless party entertainer taking a weird shortcut? Or was it something more deliberate, a prankster with a sick sense of humor? Or even worse, someone who, identifies with the fictional killer.
It's a scary thought, and that's what's so powerful about these stories. They make us question our own sense of safety.
Yep.
We have another account, actually, that really highlights this vulnerability. A law student in Los Angeles almost fell victim to a scheme. She was new to the city and really wanted to connect with her half-sister, someone she had never met before.
Oh, wow.
So she gets a friend request on Facebook. It looks like it's from her sister, inviting her to a dinner party in a park. Seems pretty innocent, right?
Yeah, on the surface it does.
Exactly. But you never know who's really behind that screen.
That's so true. You just never know.
Thankfully, this student had a gut feeling that something wasn't right.
Oh, good.
Yeah. She decided to Google the park, and it turns out it was super dangerous, known for gangs and violent crime. Imagine if she hadn't trusted her instincts.
That's a chilling thought. It's a reminder to always be aware of our surroundings, especially in new places, and never ignore those gut feelings. Sometimes our subconscious picks up on things that our conscious mind just misses. Speaking of ignoring warning signs, we have another account that really emphasizes this. A woman realized, too late, that she had heard her neighbor being robbed at gunpoint, but she just dismissed the sounds, thinking it was something else entirely.
Oh, gosh. The guilt and regret in that situation must be overwhelming. It makes you realize how easy it is to become complacent, to just dismiss potential threats, even when they're right next door.
It's like we build these walls around ourselves, these mental barriers that try to shield us from the scary realities that exist just outside our comfort zones. But sometimes those walls, they can be fragile, easily shattered by the unexpected. And speaking of unexpected encounters, the next story takes place at a Laura Ping event, a place meant for fun and escapism. But this woman, she found herself being stalked and harassed by someone who was supposed to be part of this community. He followed her, made inappropriate comments, and even physically grabbed her at one point.
That's awful. It's a disturbing reminder that even in spaces designed for fantasy and friendship, we're not immune to real-world dangers.
Exactly. It's a violation of trust on so many levels, fortunately in this case.
Yeah.
The woman's friends intervened, and the harasser was banned from future events. But it brings up a question. Why do some people seem to prey on vulnerability? What motivates them to target others like this?
That's a complex question, and there are a lot of factors at play. But one thing's for sure, these perpetrators, they often lack empathy. They don't think about the impact of their actions, and they might even enjoy the fear and discomfort they cause.
That's so disturbing.
It is. But it's important to remember that we're not powerless in these situations. We have a choice, and we can choose to act.
I love that. Absolutely. And sometimes, even in the darkest situations, we see glimmers of hope. We have a story about a woman trapped on a bus with an aggressive man who was making unwanted advances. She felt scared and helpless. But then a complete stranger intervened, confronting the harasser and giving her the space and safety she needed.
That's amazing. It's a testament to the good that's out there. Even in an anonymous setting like a crowded bus, someone was willing to step up and protect a stranger. It shows that we don't have to be passive bystanders. We can choose to be active in creating a safer and more just world.
Such a powerful message. But unfortunately, not all stories have such a positive resolution. There's another account, equally unsettling, about a young woman who went camping with a man she met online. She ignored early red flags, and the situation escalated into a terrifying assault.
That's terrible. This story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of online dating and the importance of taking precautions. When meeting someone new, trusting your gut is so important, especially in situations where you're vulnerable.
Absolutely. It's about setting boundaries,
Mm.
being assertive, and not being afraid to walk away if something feels off. And what's particularly chilling about this account is that after the assault, the perpetrator just fell asleep peacefully, like nothing had happened.
Wow, that's a disturbing sign of a complete lack of remorse or empathy. It's a reminder that evil can wear many faces, and that we need to be constantly vigilant in protecting ourselves, both physically and emotionally, sometimes. Even the most harmless encounters can take a dark turn. It's so true. And sometimes, these encounters are more bizarre than overtly threatening. Like the story of a man who had his pizza stolen, not by a hungry teenager, but by a strange, mud-covered naked man who emerged from the woods.
Oh my goodness. This one is both funny and unsettling. It speaks to the unpredictable nature of people, the fact that there are people out there living on the fringes of society whose motivations and actions we may never understand.
It's like a glimpse into a hidden world, a world that exists just beyond our perception. And it reminds us that even in the most mundane moments, the unexpected can happen.
Absolutely. It's a reminder to stay alert, to be aware of our surroundings, and to be prepared for anything. We never know what we might encounter in the shadows.
That is very true.
Yeah, it's like as we dig deeper into these accounts, it becomes clear that the feeling of vulnerability, it isn't just about physical danger, it's about the psychological impact, the way these encounters shake our sense of security and make us question the world around us. It's like a crack in the facade of everyday life.
Yeah.
A glimpse into something unsettling and unknown. It makes you wonder, are these just random, isolated incidents? Or is there something more at play? Is it possible that there are people out there who are drawn to exploiting this vulnerability, people who thrive on the fear and uncertainty they create?
It's a question that haunts these stories, and it's made even more disturbing by the fact that, in many cases, the motives are a complete mystery. We're left to grapple with the why, the unsettling possibility that there may not be a rational explanation. Take the story of the woman and the forest clown. Even if it was just a coincidence, a harmless party entertainer in a strange place, it still taps into a primal fear, the unease we feel when we're confronted with the unexpected, the unexplained.
It's like our minds are constantly searching for patterns, for meaning, even the most random events. And when we can't find a logical explanation, our imaginations take over, filling in the blanks with our deepest fears.
Exactly. It's this uncertainty that can be more terrifying than any actual threat. It's the not knowing, the sense that something is lurking, just beyond our understanding, that can really unsettle us.
And a lot of times, these unsettling encounters happen in liminal spaces, those in-between places, like empty parking lots, late-night buses, deserted parks, places that feel transitional, uncertain, almost like a threshold between the familiar and the unknown.
These spaces, they're ripe for both unsettling events and unexpected acts of heroism. Remember the story of the woman trapped on the bus with the aggressive man? She was confined, vulnerable. And then a stranger stepped in to help, creating a sense of safety in that liminal space.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of fear and uncertainty, human kindness can still prevail. It speaks to our desire to protect and care for one another, even in the most unexpected circumstances.
It really does. And it highlights the importance of community, of looking out for each other, recognizing that we have a responsibility to create a safer, more empathetic world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But of course, not all situations have such positive outcomes. And sometimes, the very systems that are meant to protect us, they fall short. Take the story of the soccer player who's being stalked. She reached out for help, but the stalker was careful not to actually break any laws, making it really difficult for the police to intervene.
That brings up a really important point, the limitations of our systems. When it comes to dealing with stalking and harassment, the law often struggles to keep up with how these behaviors are changing, and the burden of proof can be so high for victims.
It's a frustrating reality. It leaves victims feeling vulnerable and powerless, unsure of where to turn for help.
Exactly. It emphasizes the need for more awareness about stalking behaviors and for legal frameworks that offer more protection. But beyond the legal stuff, we need a cultural shift, a better understanding of the psychological impact of stalking and harassment.
Right. Stalking isn't just about physical safety. It's about emotional well-being. It can have a terrible effect on someone's mental health, leading to anxiety, depression, even PTSD.
Yeah, the constant fear, the feeling of being watched, the invasion of privacy, it can all take such a toll. It's crucial to remember that victims of stalking deserve empathy and support, not judgment or blame. They need to know they're not alone and that there's help available.
Before we wrap up this part of our conversation, I want to go back to a story that really stands out for just how strange it is. The man who had his pizza stolen by a mud-covered naked man who came out of the woods.
Oh, yeah. That one. It's a reminder that not all unsettling encounters fit neatly into categories like crime or harassment. Sometimes they're just bizarre,
Yeah.
a glimpse into the unexpected, the unexplainable.
Exactly. And while it might seem like a funny story, there's also a sense of unease to it. I mean, what led this man to choose such an unusual lifestyle?
It makes you think about the stories behind the stories, the complicated lives and experiences of people who live on the edges of society, and it underscores the importance of empathy, recognizing that everyone has a story, even those whose choices and behaviors we might not fully understand.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back the layers of how we see the world and finding all these strange and unsettling things right underneath the surface.
And as we explore all of this, it really hits home how important it is to trust your instincts. In a lot of these stories, there were little hints, red flags, that something wasn't right. But those warnings, they were ignored or dismissed, and sometimes that had terrifying consequences.
The story of the young woman who went camping with the man she met online, that's a perfect example. She had those feelings of unease, but she chose to ignore them, hoping for the best, and she paid a heavy price for that.
It just shows you our intuition is a powerful tool for staying safe. If something feels off, if a situation makes you uncomfortable, listen to those feelings and protect yourself.
It's not about being paranoid or suspicious of everyone you meet. It's about knowing yourself and trusting your gut when it tells you something's not right.
Exactly. And it's about setting boundaries, being assertive, not being afraid to say no, even if it means disappointing someone.
Our safety and well-being. That has to come first. We can't just rely on others to protect us. We need to be proactive.
And we also need to look out for each other. If you see someone in a situation that seems unsafe or uncomfortable, don't hesitate to step in, offer help, or even just check in, make sure they're okay.
Sometimes just a little bit of kindness can make a huge difference. A listening ear, a helping hand, a voice that says, I see you and I'm here. Those gestures can be so powerful, especially when someone feels alone and vulnerable.
We might not be able to stop every bad thing from happening, but we can create a culture of awareness and support. We can learn from these stories, share our experiences, and help each other to deal with the uncertainties of the world.
Well said. And on that note, it's time to wrap up this episode of Terror and Urban Myths. We've gone into the shadows, explored the unsettling, and faced the bizarre. These stories might make us feel uneasy. Hopefully, they've also got us thinking about safety and vulnerability and the power of human connection. So thank you once again for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like if you enjoy the show. Until next time, stay safe out there. And remember to trust your instincts.